So let's talk about Tyrael. Tyrael is one of the bruisers in the game. He's a warrior, but he has a lower health pool than most warriors, and he has a lot more damage than a lot of warriors do when compared to people like Stitches and people like Joanna. He'll hit a lot harder, nowhere near as hard as the assassins in the game though. So with Tyrael, there's two very distinct builds you can go to that are very, very similar, but there are a couple of key changes at certain points throughout the build. Apologies for that. And the first one is at level 1. You can either go for Purge Evil, which is if you're going for a smite build, if you're going for a build where your team needs damage more than they need a tank, they need someone who can kind of get involved with people and kind of push people about and do some damage. They don't really need someone who can be at the front lines that much. Purge Evil is going to be your friend. If you don't want to be that, if you want to be someone who's a little bit more survivable, a little bit more difficult to kill, has a little bit more sustain in fights, go for Regen Master. For the sake of being a bruiser, I'm probably going to take Purge Evil just because it's a more... you have a better laning phase that you can clear minion waves 25% faster, you deal 25% more damage with any of your harassing abilities, and other stuff like that. At level 4, it's pretty simple. There isn't really many good talents here. The only really good one that you can use is Amplified Healing. The Smite lower cooldown is kind of good, but it means that you just use more Smite, which uses your mana too quick, and you end up going out of mana really quickly, and all healing effects increased means this stacks with Regen Master, so you're going to heal for a lot more than you normally would, so it's really good to get. If you've taken Regen Master or if you've taken Smite, it's very good to get either way, because if you have a healer on your team, or you just pick up Regen Globes a lot, regardless of whether you've taken the Regeneration Master talent, it's going to help you a lot. Level 7, there's a lot of cool abilities you can use here. You can use Searing Attacks if you're really going for damage, and you can use Angel's Grace if you find yourself running about all over the place, but the only one you should really be looking at, if in doubt, go with Battle Momentum. The other two are cool, but you know, they don't do that much. Battle Momentum will allow you to do a lot more than you otherwise would. Again, this is for both builds. As you can see, the builds they overlap quite a bit. At level 10, you kind of have to go for Judgment, but, and I really just want to draw people's attention to the other talents. So Judgment is a standard one. You charge an enemy, knock everyone away from it, and stun them for a second. Great if you're diving someone and you just want to kill someone right at the start of the fight before they can really do anything, like Kel'Thas or Jaina, or even characters like Illidan or Nova and Zeratul, especially if they reveal themselves early. Judgment is going to be the go-to talent. However, I do just want to speak about Sanctification just for a little bit. Now, if you're well coordinated, and with Tyrael's ability to jump in front of his team, you can obviously you're not invulnerable. You are not invulnerable when you do this, but it makes everyone else invulnerable. But you can jump to the front of a fight, and if you have another tank on your team, like you have a Johanna or someone, and you're playing with characters that have to get in the front lines, people like Vala, people like Illidan, Zeratul, even Nova to some extent, you can jump to the front of the team and just throw down Sanctification. That means they have 3 seconds to kill you, and it can be interrupted by any standard interrupt effects, even moves like knockback because you can't move while doing it. But if you manage to get it off and get it down, it's 3 seconds where your team doesn't take any damage, and that's an incredibly high amount. And it feels like an incredibly long time. So I just want to draw people's attention to that. If you have amazing communication within your team and you feel like you can make it work, please give it a go. I would love to see this talent come into the meta somehow. But other than that, Judgment is going to be your standard go-to talent. At level 13, if you're ahead and you're getting in people's faces and you're just winning fight after fight after fight, look to get Burning Rage. If you're not, look to get, I'm pretty sure, I'm just going to double check, it is, yes, Imposing Will. Imposing Will is going to be your go-to one if you're finding yourself at a disadvantage. If you're finding yourself tanking quite a lot, Imposing Will is very good because you have to have your shield up, remember, so you're going to have your W to inflict Imposing Will, but it's going to be good if you're chasing people down and they like to poke you. As you can see, at level 13, Tyrael finds himself with a lot of health, but it is quite easily bursted down. I like Burning Rage. It means that you can get in people's faces and deal damage to everyone, and 36 damage per second is good. Obviously, it means that on maps that are damage-based, objective-based, you can clear those a lot quicker. Haunted Mines, Blackheart's Bay with the chest, you can clear very quickly. Garden of Terror you can do very quickly. Just all-round good fun talents. And of course, if you are tanking and you find yourself taking a lot of damage, even during team fights, Imposing Will is going to be the one that you're going to go for. I'm going to go for Burning Rage because I think it's a fun talent. Now, at level 16, there's a few cool talents. The standard go-to one is going to be Blood for Blood, and 90% of the time you're going to take Blood for Blood. But don't be afraid to try out a few other ones on this tier. As you know, with most champions, level 16 is a very big power spike. You can find yourself really putting yourself into new situations when you hit level 16. So don't be afraid to try out some of the other talents and see if you can get a new build going. If you find something that works, this is the beauty, in my opinion, of playing the bruisers, or playing the kind of good but not good enough to really make it into the A-list of tiers, into the top tiers at the moment. You can really muck about with builds, and if you find something that works well with your team or with your kind of composition, you can really win out. You can really steal a few games with it. People just don't expect what they're doing. So if you're in doubt, go for Blood, but don't be afraid to try out some of those other ones. I would stray away from Blade of Justice just because it's incredibly difficult to pull off really quickly. It's 3 attacks in 5 seconds. You have to be like whack, 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 and that's quite difficult to do, especially if you're teleporting in and people can see you coming and they can move out of the way. But Holy Ground's a very good one. It's just a good fun talent. It means that you can just throw it in, teleport to it, and then people can't get back around you. They can't get through you. They can't walk there. You can zone people. You can isolate people. Great fun. And of course, Salvation's really good if you can get in the middle of your team, cast it, and then jump in. Everyone in your team is going to be shielded really strong for 4 seconds. And again, that does feel like an absolute lifetime when you're in the middle of a fight. And at level 20, so at level 20, you're going to want to go for hardened shields more likely, especially if you're being the tank build. If you are going for the bruiser or more of a diver composition, don't be afraid to use Angel of Justice. The cooldown reduced by 30 seconds is really strong. It means you can dive people more than once every minute, which pushes it into the start and end of the team fight. If you're fighting over something for an incredibly long time, and that's like Sky Temple and Cursed Hollow, you can find yourself in these situations. You might be able to dive once or twice, maybe even 3 times during a fight with this, but other than that, you're going to want to take Hardened Shield and just pop it once you get in the start of a fight. So you can, if you take Salvation, you can throw down your W, shield everyone, teleport in, and then throw down, and then use Hardened Shields. It's going to make the team incredibly difficult to kill you. Yeah, I like Angel of Justice. I think it's an incredibly fun talent, and I've seen a few people muck about with Nexus Blades, just because when you play Bruiser Tyrael, the hitting harder and slowing them is incredibly strong for the kind of CC, the kind of control you get off of the slow. But you have to be very, very good with Tyrael to make it work. But don't be afraid to try it out. So Tyrell's a bruiser, and as a result, he has a kind of unique compared to assassins and warriors and specialists laning phase. His laning phase is going to be largely revolved around just clearing the wave, as a lot of bruisers are and a lot of warriors are. If you're up against someone who you feel you can harass, don't be afraid to use Smite to try and get the whole minion wave and the hero. Don't be afraid to use W just before you go in, to say if you're planning to go in for the poke or you're planning to go in to pick in the Regen Globe. W is an instant cast, you don't stop moving. You can pick the Regen Globe and get out just as it fades. So it's very, very good. Again, only try and use Smite to hit everything and the hero. If you're really committing to a kill, that's going to be the combo you're going to want to use. And again, pop in the shield, and let's just finish them off with Blood for Blood because we're level 16 and we can do that. So in the laning phase, if you're going for a kill, you have to jump in with Q. Make sure you jump behind them and not on them. Being behind them is going to allow you to get 2 or 3 auto attacks off that you otherwise wouldn't if you jump this side of them. And again, only use Smite to try and damage all of the minion wave and try and get the hero in the shot at the start of the game. Also remember that when you and your allies run through Smite, you get 25% increased movement speed. So I'm going to demonstrate that for you now. If Malfurion runs away. Well, it's not going to. So basically, as you see, I'm running at this speed. If I throw a Smite on the edge of range, and you move a little bit faster, you can tell he's got the little wind things around him. So it's good if you want to escape, throw the Smite down in front of you, and then just start running. It's very, very good. In the mid game, when the team fights and the objectives start to come up, you are going to want to be the initiator and the big man, so to speak, the guy who literally, if I'm looking at Sky Temple for example, you would queue with your team backing you up, of course. You would queue onto the objective point and just kind of bully everyone around. Another way to engage, if you have vision of the point where the watchtower or one of your friends is just there, or you can just see them because they're pushing a little bit too far forward, is just a judgment on one of them, just to give you an idea of what that looks like. And that's how it does. And that shockwave you see as he lands, it pushes all enemies within that shockwave back to the maximum range of that shockwave, so it's very good for isolating someone. You're going to continue doing that into the late game, but towards the late game, once you get hardened senses and stuff like that, and hardened shields and whatever. Did I pick that ability? No, I picked Angel of Justice. So once you start getting hardened shields, and once you start becoming more and more tanky and more difficult to kill, you're going to want to start using your shields a whole hell of a lot more, even if anyone in your team is being hit. 12-second cooldown is rather punishable if you pop it at the wrong spot. But if you do it at the right time, you're going to find yourself in a very good spot. Don't do that and just judgment in on the enemy team, because you jump to exactly where the sword is. So if the sword is, I'll give you an example here. I'll do it over this wall. If I were to put the sword there, the sword's on the other side of this wall, so I will jump to the sword. But if the sword's on that side of the wall, it jumps to that. That's where you know where you jump to. Wherever the sword is, that's exactly where you go. Just as a nice little tip for everyone. Please be aware of Tyrael when you play Tyrael. You're not a tank. You're tanky. You're tankier than assassins and specialists and supports, but you're not a tank. You're on a similar HP level to Anubarak and Sonya. Think of yourself in that kind of, if you've played those characters before, you know what that feels like. Please be aware that your W is incredibly powerful. It shields you for more than it shields your allies, so don't be afraid to pop it just on yourself or to keep yourself alive. Try not to be a hero with it, try not to just W for no reason. Don't be afraid to use Judgment to re-engage. The turn Judgment is brilliant if you find yourself, you run out of a fight early on. You can just Judgment right on the edge of your range, and then you come out of nowhere, and there's very little time for the enemy to react to you doing that. Don't be afraid to cut people off with the Eldraone's Might. Don't be afraid to use the Smite to run away or to give your team chase potential. You are a surprisingly supporty character as Tyrael, even though you're not a support, obviously you're a warrior and you're a bruiser. You will find yourself supporting your team a lot better than other warriors do. Please try him out. I think he's an incredibly fun champion. With Tyrael's charge now, he has the best looking mount combo in the game. I think it's one of the reasons that I'm probably going to find myself playing Tyrael a lot more recently, just because his mount looks amazing. Other than that, give him a go. He's great fun. I imagine he's going to play similarly to how Leoric plays when he comes out. Not necessarily in terms of abilities and stuff like that, just in terms of health pool and how you really get the maximum amount out of your character through one kind of from one objective to the next. Anyway, this has been the Tyrael guide. I have been Mr. G, and I'll see you next time.